time. Deputy Humphreys. Okay, I'll come back to you, Deputy. I'll come back to you.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for coming forward to the committee. Part of the report was very strongly gave the indication of this very strong customer voice within Irish Water and how it would be funded. I certainly would like to hear your opinion on that. The other area is related to that, is that Irish Water should be open to freedom of information. That was very carefully thought out by this committee. I think it's very important that it should happen. The other part in the report, Minister, I know you couldn't touch on every part of the report, but the mandatory leakage rates and setting very clear markers down on what has to be achieved over a period of time. And the key performance indicators, should be regionally based, because there's different leakage rates right across the country. So it would not be feasible to expect Kilkenny to hit targets as quickly as possibly. Where Dublin has a 28% leakage rate, Kilkenny has a higher one. But we should see a progressive improvement, and those rates should be laid down. I just on your thing is the profits from Irish Water. Could you reassure that money would be ring-fenced for reinvestment? Just on the waiver system, I don't know whether you've had time to look at a system whether you would consider the household benefit package or a fuel allowance scheme. But again, I don't know. Can I just touch upon the meter for a second? And you thought that there was a feasibility study, the cost-benefit analysis of it. I think there's an opportunity here when you're stepping forward, and especially within the smart metering. And if you can cross over smart metering with a home care package, where you can look at, through cloud computing, whether water is being used for, say, if you have your elderly mother at home, and you can go online and check the usage. Like, she makes a cup of tea at 9 o'clock in the morning, so you know she's been up and moving around, or he's been up and moving around. And that crossover a use of technology as part of a home care package, has any real in detail look been given there? And then just finally, when the installation of the meters and the studies that have been carried out, that a high percentage of leakage is actually on private property. Is there an opportunity in some way of giving an incentive during the period that the meter would be installed, to give an incentive to reduce the leakage on private property? And I finish on that. Thank you.
I'll take the last one first. I think we looked at some of the issues in England, and some of the companies over there, they actually will fix the first leak for free, and they have an arrangement that they will help out. I think your own report very clearly and very succinctly is the best place I saw it. I think whereas the Dublin City Council were in, they said that they replaced 70% of the public infrastructure, then 80%, then 90%, but the leakage rate was still 19% after I think it had all been replaced. And the reason was that on the household side, on the private side, the problem was there. So you're absolutely right. And I think the key performance indicators which the regulator will have to attach to any charging system will be that there'll have to be a planned programme of reduction of leakages. As you rightly point out, Dublin, I think, is one of the lowest in the country now. I think as Roscommon is about 58, or it's very, very high. So that is a very significant issue. And if you're charging for water, you cannot have at the same time, the leakage that is happening in our system. And that's one of the reasons why we need Irish Water for the new synergies there. I just want to I'll go back to the other point. Just definitely Stanley raised a point there. At the beginning, I made the point about privatisation. I said, we'd be very happy to take on board any proposals you might have in terms of what should be in the legislation when we do publish it. And I would be very happy if your party or anybody here, as I said, have proposals to strengthen whatever we do propose when you see it. There's no agenda for privatisation here. If there was, it wouldn't be going to Borgas. If there was, we wouldn't. The Labour Party in Fine Gael, in government, it will not be privatised. And I'd be happy to accept any opinions you may have on that. The consumer voice is critical, absolutely critical. That in the running of Irish Water, obviously the regulator will be looking for the views of the public and will have to take them on board. But I think you're quite right. We need to have a strong advocacy for consumers on the board of Irish Water. And obviously, as part of the proposals we'll be making, and this is part of the listening process, we're taking on board your views, that would be a very serious and significant point we'd have to address. Jerry, you might want to talk on some of the technical issues there that you raised.
Okay, Deputy, just on some of the issues, in particular the incentive to reduce leakage on the customer side. Well, the first issue about that is actually to advise customers that they have leakage on their side of the meter. And part of that will be, in advance of the introduction of charges, to issue them with a dummy bill, what they would be charged once charges are introduced in respect of the amount of water passing through their meter. Then obviously Irish Water, as the UK water utilities is doing, as the Minister indicated, will look at what policies to incentivise how customer side leakage repair. And as the Minister said, there are a range of policies across the UK, ranging from the utility offering to carry out one repair for free, but you pay for any repair after that. Obviously, smart metering would be a way of providing that sort of information to consumers, but as the Commissioner for Energy Regulation announced there in recent weeks, the smart energy metering programme will only start to be rolled out from 2015 to 2019. So at this stage, the synergies aren't there with water metering. So we are, in conjunction with Bord Gáis Éireann, looking at what sort of technologies would be available to provide this information to consumers, whether it's through a cloud computing type approach, as you suggested, or a key fob reader of the meter, to give this type of information to households in advance of water bills arriving. Then, in the longer term, as meters have a finite life, when those meters come to be replaced, they're made at that stage, once the smart energy metering has developed sufficiently, there may be synergies there once the technologies have developed, as I expect they will, to piggyback onto the smart energy metering, to be able to provide that type of information through a similar system.
It's just like buying a computer now. You can buy one today and it does sing and dance, but in a year's time the technology will be even better. So we have to buy at the time we're buying, but to buy with the capacity to connect to the other meters is the key.